Samantha stood in the midst of the bustling crowd on Market Street, where the shimmering neon lights blended with the sounds of passing cars. She felt as if she were in a movie, where everything moved quickly, but she herself was stuck in a moment of silence. Today was her first day back at work at Summit Innovations after a month of leave, and her heart was filled with conflicting emotions. "Are you sure?" came the voice of Sophie, her best friend and also Samantha's advisor, ringing in her ears, pulling her out of her chaotic thoughts. Sophie looked at her with a worried glance, her shiny golden hair blowing in the wind. "If you don't feel ready, maybe we should postpone?" Samantha smiled. But that smile could not hide the anxiety welling up inside her. "No, I have to go. I've been preparing for this day for too long." She took a deep breath, trying to calm the heartbeat pounding in her chest. "I need to know how everything is going." As they entered the modern office building of Summit Innovations, Samantha felt as if she were stepping into a battlefield. Everyone around was busy, holding phones and staring at computer screens. The atmosphere was tense and full of pressure, yet vibrant with creativity and enthusiasm. She had once loved this feeling, but now, it left her feeling empty. "Welcome back, Samantha." A voice from behind startled her. It was Jake, her brother, with a bright smile but insincere eyes. "We missed you a lot. The company has been through a rough time, but things are gradually stabilizing." "Really?" Samantha replied, trying to keep her voice calm. "I heard there were some major changes in the company." "Just normal things," Jake said, but Samantha sensed the dishonesty in his words. "You'll see things are better when we get to the meeting room." As they walked into the meeting room, Samantha felt as if she were stepping into an endless battle. The board members were sitting around the table, their gazes fixed on her. Familiar faces had now become strangers, as if they were waiting for something from her. "We need to talk about the future of Summit Innovations," Robert, Samantha's father, began. He sat at the center position, his expression serious. "I've decided that we need a new direction. And I want Jake to lead the company." Those words hit Samantha like a slap to the face. She couldn't believe what she just heard. "Dad, I've devoted my whole life to this company. Why did you choose Jake?" She couldn't hold back her emotions, her voice trembling. "Jake has fresh ideas," Robert replied without hesitation. "As for you, you're too attached to the past." Samantha felt as if everything was crumbling around her. She had worked tirelessly to prove her worth, but now, all those efforts seemed meaningless. "I can't believe you would do this," she said, her voice full of disappointment. "That's my decision," Robert replied, his gaze cold. "You can stay and support Jake, or go out and find another path." It felt like the pieces of her life were shattering. Samantha didn't know what to do. She had once thought her father would support her, but now, he chose her brother. She felt betrayed, yet could not deny that Jake had creative ideas she couldn't overlook. "What do you think about this?" Sophie asked, her eyes full of concern. "Do you want to keep fighting?" She looked around the room, seeing the eyes of everyone waiting for her response. "I won't give up," Samantha said, her voice firm. "I will prove that I can do better. Not just for myself, but for this company as well." But inside her, a big question still echoed: is there still a chance for me in this world where everything changes too quickly? Those thoughts clung to her as the meeting continued, but Samantha knew this was just the beginning of a new battle. She would not let the failures of the past shape her future. She would fight not only for herself, but for the values she had built with her father. And so, amidst the bustling city of San Francisco, a new journey began, where secrets, challenges, and opportunities awaited her. Samantha left the meeting room with a heavy heart, but inside her, a fire of determination was burning. She couldn't let her father and Jake decide her fate. "I will find a way to prove that I am worthy," she told herself, quickly walking towards her desk. When she sat down in her chair, She opened her computer and began researching the current projects of Summit Innovations. The information on the screen appeared like a complex maze. But she felt as if she was in the midst of a battle. She needed to grasp everything, from finance to products, from personnel to the market. "I will find the company's weaknesses," she whispered, a sense of excitement flooding her heart. "If possible, I will create a new product that no one can refuse." As night fell, the office gradually became quiet. Samantha decided to take a stroll around the area, hoping to find a bit of inspiration. She stepped outside, the streetlights reflecting on the wet sidewalks. And the cool breeze blowing through made her feel more awake. "What are you planning to do?" The familiar voice of Sophie rang out from behind. She had followed Samantha outside. "I noticed you seemed off after the meeting." "I can't just sit and wait," Samantha replied, trying to keep her voice calm. "I need to understand what's happening in the company. Something is not right, and I feel like Jake is hiding a secret." Sophie raised an eyebrow, looking worried. "Are you sure? If you go too far, it could cause tension between the two brothers. Your father won't forgive easily either." "But if I don't do this, I will forever live in their shadow," Samantha replied, determination in her eyes. "I can't let that happen." When she returned to the office, Samantha began planning a meeting with the other team members. She wanted to learn more about the projects Jake was in charge of. "I need a team," she thought. "Some people might be feeling the same way I do." The next day, Samantha held an informal meeting with a few close colleagues. They sat around the coffee table. The atmosphere intimate yet filled with tension. "I know everyone is worried about the company's future," Samantha began, her gaze fixed on each person. "But I believe we can do something different." "What are you talking about?" David, a veteran programmer, asked, looking skeptical. "Jake already has a plan. Why do we need to change?" "Because I feel that something is off," Samantha replied, unable to contain her frustration. "Jake doesn't have the experience we do, and I suspect my father is being influenced by unrealistic ideas." A silence enveloped the room. Everyone looked at each other, unsure of what to say. Finally, Sophie spoke up. "I understand how you feel, Samantha. But if we go against Jake and your father, it could cause a lot of trouble." "But if we do nothing, we will lose everything," Samantha emphasized. "I am not just fighting for myself, but for everyone here." The meeting ended without consensus. Some people supported her, but many were concerned about opposition from Jake and Robert. Samantha felt like she was in the midst of an endless battle. She returned to her office, her heart heavy with chaotic thoughts. "Maybe I should find out more about Jake," she told herself. "There could be something I don't know." Later, Samantha decided to follow Jake for a day. She wanted to know what he was doing and if there was anything suspicious. She stealthily kept track of him from afar, observing each of his steps. Jake frequently met with a group of strangers at a cafe near the office. They seemed close and often exchanged documents. "I need to know who they are," Samantha thought, excitement rising within her. She decided to approach one of them at their next meeting. The next day, when Jake and his friends gathered, Samantha was prepared for any situation. She pretended to be a potential customer, walking into the cafe with a confident appearance. "Hello, I am looking for a new tech product and heard about Summit Innovations," she said to one of the men in the group. The man looked at her with suspicion. "We cannot disclose any details," he replied, but Samantha felt that something was off. "Just a bit of information, please," she tried to persuade. "I am sure your products will be impressive." The conversation was tense, but Samantha did not give up. She sensed the tension between Jake and his friends. Something bigger is going on, she thought, her heart racing. As Jake left the cafe, Samantha decided to continue following him. She couldn't let herself get lost in negative thoughts. She needed to uncover the truth. But just as she was about to leave, a familiar voice rang out. "Samantha, what are you doing here?" It was Robert, her father, with a suspicious look. "What are you doing here?" Feeling caught, Samantha tried to remain calm. "I just wanted to learn more about the company, Dad," she said, her voice steady. "I think there might be something we need to discuss." Robert looked at her, his expression serious. "You should go back to the office. Don't let negative thoughts influence your decision." A sense of discouragement flooded Samantha's heart. She knew her father was trying to protect her, but the truth was she couldn't just sit and wait. "I won't give up," she thought, resolute in her heart. "I will find out the truth, no matter what happens." And so, Samantha's journey to seek the truth continued, amidst complicated relationships and deep secrets. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to face every trial. Samantha returned to the office, her heart full of questions. The unexpected meeting with her father had made her feel trapped between two worlds. On one side was loyalty to her family, on the other was the desire to prove herself. She sat down at her desk, opened her computer but couldn't concentrate on any work. The pieces of the secret were gradually forming in her mind. What is Jake doing with those people, she wondered. Are they planning a new product without informing me? Or worse, could they be preparing for a major shock to the company? She decided that she needed more information. If Jake and his group were quietly developing a new product, Samantha had to find a way to stop it or at least prepare for a battle. She couldn't let herself be pushed out of the game. Maybe I should reach out to David, she thought. David was an experienced programmer who was always willing to help. She called him and suggested meeting at a cafe near the office. When they met, Samantha couldn't hide her anxiety. "David, I need your help. I suspect Jake is doing something opaque with the company." David took a sip of coffee, his expression serious. "Samantha, you know that Jake has his own connections. He's not an easy person to collaborate with. Why do you want to go against him?" "Because I feel that something is not right," she replied, her tone calm but firm. "If we don't do anything, the company could fall into the wrong ideas." David nodded, but his gaze was still full of doubt. "I'm not sure that you have enough strength to confront Jake. He has a lot of influence in the company, and your father is also on his side. But if I do nothing, I will forever live in their shadow," Samantha insisted. "I need you to help me find out more about Jake's group." After a moment of hesitation, David finally agreed. "All right, I will help you. But be careful. I don't want you to get into trouble." When they left the cafe, Samantha felt as if a plan was beginning to form in her head. She and David would investigate Jake's group, and if necessary, they would dig into what was happening. But she also knew that the deeper they went into the investigation, the more risks she would have to face. In the following days, Samantha and David began gathering information. They monitored Jake's meetings, noted every detail and learned about the members of his group. One evening, while analyzing data together, they discovered something suspicious. Jake was working with a large rival company, which could seriously threaten Summit Innovations. "Do you see?" Samantha pointed at the computer screen, her voice filled with excitement. "They are planning a product that directly competes with us." David looked at the screen, his expression anxious. "If this is true, we need to act immediately." "But what do you think your father will react like when he finds out about this?" "I don't know," Samantha sighed. "But I can't let this happen. I need to tell my dad. It's time for me to stand up and protect the company." When Samantha decided to meet her father, she felt as if she were stepping into a battle. She had prepared herself for every reaction, but couldn't help worrying about how he would receive this information. When she met Robert in his office, the atmosphere turned tense. "Dad, I need to talk about Jake," Samantha began, trying to keep her voice steady. I think he's working with a rival company. Robert raised an eyebrow, his expression skeptical. Do you have any proof? If not, you're just causing trouble in the company. I have information from a reliable source, she said, the excitement rising. Jake is developing a competitive product that could threaten the existence of Summit Innovations. Robert stood up, his face angry. You can't just rely on rumors. Jake is an important part of this company, and I can't let you undermine family relations just because of baseless suspicions. Dad, I'm not trying to undermine anything, Samantha exclaimed. Her voice filled with despair. I just want to protect the company and my family. If you don't believe me, I can't do anything else. Robert looked at her, his eyes cold. You need to understand that you can't always stand up against everything. Sometimes, silence is golden. A wave of disappointment washed over Samantha. She couldn't believe her father didn't trust her. I can't sit still and wait for something bad to happen, she said, her voice full of determination. I will find out the truth. No matter what happens. As she left the office, Samantha felt as if she were standing in the middle of an endless battle. She knew she had to find a way to prove that what she said was true. But she also realized that it wasn't just Jake and her father blocking her, but also other colleagues, people she once considered friends. Maybe I need to seek support from others, she thought. Some people might also feel like I do. Samantha began approaching some other colleagues, sharing what she had discovered. Some were worried, but there were also those who supported her, wanting to know more about the situation. She felt as if she was building a team, a force to stand against what was happening. We need to confront Jake, a colleague named Lisa said, her gaze resolute. If not, we could lose everything. Exactly, Samantha agreed. We need to find a way to bring the truth to light and protect the company. However, as they prepared for battle, Samantha knew that the path ahead would be full of challenges. She would not only have to face Jake, but also her very own father, the person she once trusted most. But I will not give up, she told herself, determination in her heart. This is a battle not just for the job, but for my honor and my own freedom. And so, Samantha's journey to uncover the truth continued. Amidst complex relationships and deep secrets, she was ready to face every challenge, no matter what happened. Samantha stood in front of the large meeting room door of Summit Innovations, her heart pounding. She knew that today would be a decisive day not only for her career, but also for her family. The information she and David had gathered was enough to prove that Jake was secretly developing a competing product with the company. But did she have the courage to reveal this truth? She took a deep breath, trying to shake off her anxiety. I can't back down, she told herself. This is the time to fight. She looked in the mirror, seeing the image of a strong, determined, and resolute woman. I won't let anyone stop me anymore. The meeting room door opened, and Samantha walked in. The atmosphere in the room was tense, all eyes were on her. Jake sat at the center, looking smug. Beside him was her father, Robert, with a stern expression. Other colleagues were also present, all aware that this meeting would determine the future of the company. Thank you all for coming here today, Robert began in a deep and strong voice. We are at an important moment, and I hope everyone works together to move the company forward. Samantha felt like she was standing in the middle of a battle. She knew that if she didn't speak the truth right now, she might never get another chance. Dad, I need to say this, she interjected. Robert's gaze shifted to her, looking displeased. Samantha, we are in an important meeting. You should keep quiet. But I can't, she replied, her voice firm. I have discovered something serious about Jake. He is working with a rival company, and this could threaten the existence of Summit Innovations. The room fell silent, no one dared to breathe. Jake stood up, his face angry. You have no evidence. These are just unfounded accusations from someone incapable of understanding my work. She's right, David, who was sitting in the back, spoke up. We have gathered enough information to prove that Jake is betraying the company. You are in on this too? Jake turned to David, his gaze challenging. You don't know what you're doing. That's right, and I won't stand by and watch you undermine this company, David replied confidently. Robert looked at Samantha, his face upset. You can't just rely on suspicions. This is serious. And if you can't provide evidence, you will cause irreparable harm. Samantha's heart raced, she felt cornered. I have evidence, she said, her voice ringing with confidence. I recorded the conversation between Jake and his team. They are planning a competing product, and they haven't informed us. Jake scoffed, but Samantha refused to be shaken. I have prepared everything, she continued, taking out her phone and playing the recording she had saved. The sound came through, clear and sharp, every word recorded. We can't let Summit Innovations know about this product, the voice of one of Jake's team members echoed in the room. If they find out, we won't be able to complete our plan. Everyone in the room looked at each other, surprise evident on their faces. Robert frowned, unable to believe what he just heard. Jake, is this true? He asked, his voice serious. Jake, now devoid of his confidence, stood silent. That was just a casual conversation, he tried to justify himself. Casual? Samantha could no longer hold back. That is betrayal. You are putting your personal interests above the existence of this company. You don't understand anything, Jake yelled. I am trying to save the company, and without me, it will not survive. Save the company? Samantha retorted, her voice full of sarcasm. Or are you saving yourself? You are doing everything to satisfy your ego without thinking about the consequences? Robert stood up, his face full of rage. Jake, if this is true, I will not forgive you. You have betrayed this family and this company. Dad, don't. Jake pleaded, but Robert's anger had reached its peak. What have you done? Why did you do this? Samantha felt like everything was happening too fast. She looked into Jake's eyes, seeing panic and desperation. Jake, if you can do this to your family, then what can you do to everyone here? She asked, her voice gentle yet heavy. You don't understand, Jake said, his voice weak. I am just trying to survive. If I don't do this, I will be eliminated. But the price to pay is too high, Samantha replied. We cannot compromise ethics and integrity for money and power. The room was silent, everyone felt the tension. Robert looked at Jake, disappointment written on his face. I cannot believe you did this. I trusted you, and now you have destroyed everything. Dad, listen to me. Jake begged. But now no one was listening. Samantha felt as if she had achieved something, but also felt heavy. She had done the right thing, but the cost was her family relationship. We need to act immediately. David spoke up, breaking the silence. If this is not resolved, the company will be in great danger. Robert nodded, his gaze still serious. We will hold an emergency meeting with the board of directors. Jake, you will not take part in any decisions until everything is clarified. Jake turned to Samantha, eyes filled with hatred. You have ruined everything, Samantha. You will pay for this. Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. She had fought to protect the company, but now she felt like she had created an enemy within her own family. I only did what I thought was right, she said, her voice resolute. The meeting ended in tension. Samantha walked out of the room, her heart heavy. She had won this battle, but the price was too high. She had lost Jake's trust, and her family relationship had been severely damaged. When she returned to her office, Samantha couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. She felt like she was standing at a crossroads. Did I do the right thing or the wrong thing, she wondered. Is it worth breaking family ties for a career? David walked into the room, his eyes filled with concern. Samantha, are you okay? He asked. I know this is a difficult situation. No. I'm not okay, she admitted, tears starting to fall. I did the right thing, but the cost is too high. I don't know what to do next. David approached, placing a hand on her shoulder. You did what many people wouldn't dare to do. You stood up against injustice, and that is very important. But I destroyed my family, she said, her voice choked. I can't live with that. David was silent, unsure of what to say. Samantha felt as if she were standing on the edge of a chasm, not knowing how to step forward. She had fought to protect the company, but now she felt like she had lost the most important thing. Perhaps time will heal all wounds, David finally said. But you need to be strong. You can't let this defeat you. Samantha nodded. But her heart was still heavy. She knew she had to move on, but the price of truth had cost her too much. I will have to face this, she told herself. No matter what. Time passed. And in the days following that tense meeting, Samantha felt as though she were living in a nightmare. Every step in the company was heavy, each glance contained suspicion. She had won a battle. But the price was a broken relationship with Jake and disappointment in her father's eyes. She decided she had to find a way to mend everything. Although Jake had betrayed her, he was still a part of the family, and she could not let anger overshadow the love they once had. Maybe I need to see him, she told herself. Perhaps a conversation will help things go back to how they were before. One afternoon, as soft golden sunlight streamed through the window, Samantha decided to meet Jake. She found him in a small cafe near the office where they used to go together. Jake's gaze was distant, as if he were lost in his own thoughts. Jake, Samantha called. Her voice gentle yet full of determination. He turned, his expression still tense. We need to talk. About what? Jake replied, his gaze cold. You said everything that needed to be said in the meeting. True, but I don't just want to talk about work, she said, sitting down across from him. I want to talk about us. Us? Jake scoffed. Do you think everything can go back to how it was? You destroyed everything. But I don't want to lose this relationship, Samantha said sincerely. I did what I thought was right. But I don't want anger and disappointment to ruin our feelings for each other. Jake fell silent, his eyes gradually softening. I was wrong, he admitted, his voice lowering. I let my ego and ambition cloud my judgment. I only thought of myself without considering those around me. We all make mistakes, Samantha said, feeling relieved to see him starting to open up. What matters is that we learn from those mistakes. I don't want us to become enemies. But how can we go back? Jake asked, his tone full of skepticism. By forgiving each other, she replied. Her gaze steady. I know this isn't easy, but if we can't forgive, we'll forever live in the past. Jake nodded, his expression troubled. I don't know if I can do that. I've hurt you and the company. The price has already been too high, Samantha said gently. But if we can't find forgiveness, we will never move forward. Both were silent, feeling the tension in the air. Samantha felt as if an invisible wall between them was slowly being broken down. She recalled the beautiful memories they had shared, the laughter, and the warm moments. We used to be a team, she said, her voice full of emotion. I don't want to lose that. Finally, Jake sighed, his eyes becoming softer. I'm sorry, Samantha. I didn't think about what I had done. I let ambition blind me and made me lose myself. It's okay, she replied, a gentle smile forming on her lips. We can start over. Let's learn from our mistakes. As they left the cafe, Samantha felt as though a burden had been lifted. She and Jake had begun a new journey, not just to reconcile their relationship but also to rebuild trust and respect for each other. They would work together to bring Summit Innovations back on a path of growth, but more importantly, they had found forgiveness. As for Robert, upon learning that Samantha and Jake had reconciled, he felt relieved. He realized that family was the most important thing, and sometimes, forgiveness was the only way to move forward. Maybe I was too harsh, he thought. Love and understanding are what truly matter to maintain relationships. Samantha returned to the office, her heart full of hope. She had learned that life was not just about battles but also about lessons of love and forgiveness. She no longer felt weighed down by the difficult decisions she had made. Instead, she felt proud of herself for standing up against injustice and seeking the truth. Life is a journey, she reminded herself. And every decision leads us to valuable lessons. As the sunset fell, Samantha looked out the window, seeing the last rays of sunlight sparkling in the sky. She knew the road ahead would have many challenges, but now she was ready to face everything. She would not only be a leader but also a friend, someone who knew how to love and forgive. "We will overcome every difficulty together," she whispered, her heart filled with determination. Because in the end, love and forgiveness are the greatest strengths.